Tanya. Evet, Monate, evet, Monate, Rabbi going to say to Israel, Ishtifu, Mustafa, evet, Monate, evet, Monate, where's Herschel? Steve is here? Sir, all good morning. Yes, sir, all good morning. Family, good morning. Yeah, Harry Tillman. Good morning. Good morning. You got one? Yes, here. Thank you so much, Rabbi. Okay. Oh, wow. Great to see you. I know only answers here. No questions. Only Tuesday. The only answers. I love them. No questions. The day only has 24 hours. I wish I could put in another two. Okay. Good morning. You'd like the sheep? I know. That's okay. Okay. So it's the 3 weeks, the beginning of the 3 weeks. And every moment is precious. We're trying to rebuild the base of Mikdash. And last night we saw the video that Rebbe says the Churban came from Sinas Chinam, and rebuilding the base of Mikdash will come from Avas Chinam. One of the things that Rebbe wanted in the 3 weeks that we should learn about how to construct the base of Mikdash, because the Medrash Tanchuma says that that the Eibishter says through this the Yidden are not bottled from Binyan Abayis. It means when you're learning about the construction of the base of Mikdash, it's as if you're building the base of Mikdash. And that itself is a schus that the base of Mikdash should be rebuilt. Okay. In the ballot. Here, could you pass this to order? The Polish thing. Is it Polish thing order? Okay. So I want to start with something that has to do with the construction of the Beis HaMikdash. Replace this chair is a bit fat. This chair bed. You know the story with the tour guide in Israel that they went to the cave of Shmuel Hanavi. If you go to the cave of Shmuel Hanavi, the downstairs is like a show. Upstairs is like a. What's it? Yeah. So could you turn off or make the volume lower? That is not really a cave of Shmuel. It can't possibly be. But it has nothing to do with my joke. So they asked him, why is there an upstairs and a downstairs? They said it's for Shmuel Aleph and Shmuel Beis. But now added your information, that will even add to the that will make so okay. So bottom line, tour guides, but they have to make for the Parnasa. So they have stories to tell. So but what happened was, I was in Croatia. It was Shabbos. I was in Zagreb, Fabring with the Shliach all Shabbos. So about an hour before minutes, he tells me, "Why don't you go out to the streets? You want to see a little bit the streets of Zagreb?" I said, "Sure." I went out with my wife. You sitting there? No. And lo and behold, we find a group of Frum Yidden. They're on a Frum tour. I don't like to go on tours. Yeah, why not? They paid before Shabbos tour. A person, a local, that will take them around the city and show them. I don't see any issue in that. What's wrong? Oh, walking. They're walking around. They're walking around and they're showing them. There's nothing wrong. So I asked if I could join them. Okay, sure. So with the Vila, where were they from? Most of them, I think, were from the Five Towns. cedars. So in the meantime, just be careful. This thing is a little bit loose. It's fine. It's fine. It's not broken. It's just loose. So the tour guide wanted to fill me in because he wanted to and tell the whole group about that he's a Talmud Chacham. So he's telling me that when you're going to go in the south of Croatia, the city of Split, and when I go to Split, I should make sure when I go to the Ecclesian's Palace that I should make sure to visit the basement because they just discovered 13 menorahs. If I go to a place, the first thing I do before I always do I do a quick search on all the Jewish interests. I already knew about those 13 menorahs. That was probably part of the calculation of why I went there to begin with. But okay. But now he's telling Divrei Torah. If you look at it, there's 13 menorahs scratched into the wall. So what's the Diocletian's Palace? It's because that there was in the whole history of the Roman Empire, there was only one Roman emperor that ever abdicated his throne willingly and went out on vacation, just like the president of the United States, beschlossen, geht auf Pension, that he abdicated his throne, not before he built himself on the other side of the channel from Rome. He built himself humongous. I'm just using my children's words. A humongous palace, and gorgeous. The funny thing is that we wanted to stay in the city of Split. The city of Split is really mostly the palace. So when this was built in the So no, for $100 you could stay in the palace as Airbnb because the city has been
a day.
$100 a day. It's not bad in a vacation spot.
Okay.
So this is a funny thing because it was built as a palace, but residents there was local conflict, and this palace has been occupied by people like 300 years. It's been built 305 in other words, like 250 years after Churban Beis Hamikdash. 300 years later, there was upheaval in the neighborhood, and there was a city destroyed, and the people of that city came and took over the palace. Adayom, people live in different sections, so there's like a few thousand houses, different parts of the palace. The palace is probably the only Roman structure that's so large and still standing. I mean, if you go today to Rome, like even where the Shartitas or the Colosseum, everything is tzabroch. But this was built very well and well preserved, and basically it's all there. Besides his own bones, that he Pashtetza built himself very fancy mausoleum, but he was a pagan, and a few years after his death, the Romans decided that they're becoming Nazim, so they threw his bones out in the garbage, and they made it a Mokum Tumah, so I couldn't go visit it. It's not gay. I'm not interested in seeing every nook and cranny. It's not important. But the basement was fascinating because a couple of years ago they started to excavate the basement, and they found in one of the rooms in the basement, a very large room, and they found that someone carved into the wall 13 menorahs, different places. They carved menorahs into the walls. So here, pass it around. It's very hard to take it. You know what I mean? Here, pass it around the other way. Here, pass it around.
Are you sure it wasn't the Ottomans who collected the menorahs?
Who says that this is Bachlal? Okay, let me tell the story. So obviously I was just as skeptical as you are. It could be a few vandals that a few kids that decided to put some graffiti. Yaakov loves it awful. So, but apparently when I came there, I always like to get a tour guide that's local and Jewish, possible. Apparently there was clear evidence that where this chamber was on top, that there was a shul there that lasted for hundreds of years. 500 years ago, the shul was relocated to a newer part of town, and that shul is still in function. That shul that's 500 years old and that's still in function. Near that shul, there is the oldest Svarim store, bookstore that's in this world. It was established 1860 by one of the leaders of the Jewish community, and Ad Etzem Hayom Hazeh is a bookstore. I couldn't find any Shagas Arya, anything in that. I went inside. I asked for Shagas Arya. They thought no, nothing. They thought I'm talking Chinese. Huh?
Were they selling retro books?
Yeah, whatever. Now they're not selling art scrolls, so not Feldheim. But there was a shul, there was a shul on top of that basement, and that's going back to the time when the city of Split was settled. And it's about 700 to the Common Era. There were Jews around in the entire Roman Empire. I'm talking about Ad Yom. You have the Jews that call themselves Romanite Jews, right? The Jews that were in the original Roman Empire. Ad Yom, you have some small kihilas. You find a lot of Yidden that consider themselves the Roman Jews. Ad Yom, maybe some places in Turkey, in Greece, in Italy.
It's like the Moranos.
They're not Moranos. They never. There's a different mahalach. But anyway, so there were Jews that lived there. They were from Eden. We don't know of any Gdolius at all that lived there, but they were from Eden, and you can see the way even the shul that's built 500 years ago. There's no Ezes Noshim. Again, because they didn't. They're from Eden. There were there's no jokes. But so the thought is that when the city was taken over, and so maybe the basement was used as a shul. So your guess is as good as my guess if this were Jews that carved the menorahs into the walls or not. It's highly likely that Jews are the ones that did it. No. So shul doesn't need a mezuzah. So now the question of now let me go to the tour guide and the Divrei Torah and the Divrei Chachma. So you can see clearly from the pictures that the branches are round. So there's a discussions of the Talmud Chacham if the branches were diagonal around. From here we have an ayah that is supposed to be round. I'm Lubavitch. My blood is boiling already. And that's what? Yeah. And now to the second piece of Divrei Torah, that you see that there is only 5 branches. All the 13 menorahs, all they're carved from different places in the room, all have 5 branches. Why? Menorah in the base of Mikdash had 7 branches. So it says the tour guide, the Talmud Chacham, that because you're not allowed to do the tavnis of the menorah in the base of Mikdash, so they were meschakim, like the Gemara says, you're allowed to make bas chamisha konim or bas shmoina konim. But because my blood is boiling from the first Divrei Torah, so it's already hard for me to accept the second Divrei Torah. Just like the first Divrei Torah is Apurim Torah, the second one is also Apurim Torah. And I'll this is why we'll discuss it. But first, let me get to the first Divrei Torah. The Rebbe had a very big. Very big thing. He spoke about this in Tafshin Membeis. It was Shabbos Parshas Truma, and the Rebbe was very upset that the Jewish institutions and that they when they want to represent, like the Mois and have a picture of menorah, that they have it the eagle. Why? The Rebbe said that Rashi writes Nimshochim va'olim. And Chazal, when you say konim, kaneh menorah, konim means a straight stick, not round. The Rambam has a picture that he shows how the menorah is, and the konim are ba'alach sign. And the problem was that for many years people didn't know if that was bediuk or that the Rambam was not. He didn't know how to make pictures. As you could see from the picture that Rambam made, is nish given as a ayayay painter. He was Godel be Yisrael, but he didn't claim to be, the world's. Look at this. I mean, it's this is a picture. This is a picture of what the Rambam did. It's not like ayayay. The Rambam didn't claim to be an ayayay painter. So someone was saying that maybe the Rambam, the fact that the konim are not round, that they're straight, is because the Rambam, it's hard to start making a round line. But then there was a ksav yad that was nizgala from Reb Avram ben Rambam. He said, I discussed it with my father, and my father told me that he dafka wrote the picture. He dafka made the picture where the sticks are ba'alachsoin because he held b'shita that konim, when the Torah says konim, a konim doesn't mean something that's roundish. Konim means a straight stick. And therefore he drew it b'dafka. The Rebbe says that there were two Gedolei Yisrael later in generations, the Chochmas HaMishkan and which lived in Spain, maybe in the good years, and even living in Spain. And then there's another Gedolei Yisrael, Emmanuel Chailiki. The first one is Rabbi Yosef Toivelim. The second, the Maisa Choshev. It's a Mishnah Chassidim. Emmanuel Chailiki, who by the way passed away like at the same time the Alter Rebbe was born. And he was considered Godel HaMekubalim, and he was Svarim, very important. We learned once one of his on the Mishnayos. So he writes a whole sefer, Ma'aseh Choshev on Malachas HaMishkan, and he goes through the menorah and he writes about the menorah that the menorah, the konim of the menorah, he says Medivri Rashi b'chumash. The cost of Yoitzim Balachs needed the law of Beigel. Aval Rambam bechibur lo hiske teves alachsen. Ela cost of nimshochim ve'olim. Echenu bebereis the Malachs Hamishkim v'chen b'shas. Also Balchach Mashloim needed mezed the Oya Asuyim akonin kemat Beigel. V'achim estabre. The Bahachim doim el galgal rekia noisim shiva koish ve'lechos shegenagdem hem hashiva neides kedisam bebereis the Mesachas Midos. So he used a Kabbalistic thing that because it has to do with the Galgalim, and the Galgalim were roundish, so therefore it makes sense. So the Rebbe says that's very nice, but Rebbe Manuel Chayriki didn't see the Befedische Edus of Rebbe Avram ben Rambam that said that his father told him that he drew the picture Ba'alachsen B'dafke. The Rebbe says if you look now at Kisveyad of the Rama, for example, if you have today the fancy we have here, the Frankfurt set of the Rambam. So when the Rambam writes in Perek Gimel the halachos of the menorah, he says v'zuhi tzurasa, and he has that picture. So you can't ask why did the Rambam not say it's going balachsan. He did say, he said zuhi tzurasa, and he showed it to you. And if you think that it wasn't bediuk, he told the son that it was bediuk nimritz, this thing that it was balachs. So if both Rishonim, Rashi and the Rambam hold this way, two taka big achronim, Rebbe Manuel Chayriki and Rabbi Yosef Toivelim, or maybe a Rishon, thought that it was, but the reason they thought it was Be'igul is because they thought that's what the Rambam was thinking. But now that we know that this is what the Alter Rebbe's big shit is, and the Alter Rebbe said that sometimes there's din in Shulchan Aruch, but we have now Kisveyat from the Ramban that telling us otherwise. So if the Rabbi Yosef Karo would have had this Kasav Yad of the Ramban, he would have passed differently. If Rebbe Manuel Chayriki would have seen the Edus of Rebbe Avram ben Rambam to say that my father, so just because of a nice word, the Rebbe, what was really bothering the Rebbe? What bothered the Rebbe so much about it? So the reason why it bothered the Rebbe is that the Rebbe says, why did people have it so much in their mind that the menorah, that the konim menorah are balachsen, are roundish? Rashi says it's balachsen. The Rambam says konim b'chol ha'Torah kula means straight sticks. The Rebbe says it's because when there was a Churban Beis HaMikdash, they built a big gate, a victory gate for Titus Rachmana litzlan. And before the Shir, I was looking at my pictures. But whatever. Yeah, they still have it there. You can go there today and see. And they have, in honor of Titus, they made a special gate, an honor gate for Titus, and they're showing that they captured Kalim of the Beis HaMikdash. In there's big words written there, Yuda Kapata, that the Jews are captured, and over there there's the menorah has round konim, but the Rebbe says there's also other glaring things that are befedish wrong. There is a snake on the bottom of the menorah. You think there was a snake in the bottom of the menorah in the Beis HaMikdash? There's no raglayim. The Gemara says there were 3 feet. There was no feet.
Purposely designed a gate in honor of Titus that was just halakhically a distortion.
So that's anyone's guess. That's anyone's guess. Why did they? Either they had the wrong menorah because the kohanim really hid the menorah. They had the wrong menorah. Even if they had the wrong menorah, it's hard to imagine there was any menorah in the Beis HaMikdash that had a snake in the bottom. But maybe there was. But bottom line is that Rebbe said that we know that for many hundreds of years the Romans would force the Jews to come there on Tisha B'Av and to stand there and to look at this and to look at the shot. The Rebbe says this is the most the menorah is this is a testimony that Shechinah is by the Jews. The Jews have a Rebbe that's called Reb Shlomo Rashi, who tells us that it's going balach. They have another Rebbe called Reb Moshe ben Maimon Asvardi, who tells us that it's not Mshachim balach. Then you have a few Achronim that didn't understand what the Rambam meant, but now we know. So this is what we hold. Then we have a few Goyim that tried to denigrate the Jews and distorted the menorah, but they definitely distorted the menorah and to denigrate the Jews. And we should be using we should be following the Shar Titus. Why shouldn't we follow what Rashi is telling us and what the Rambam is telling us? It bothered the Rebbe a lot. The Rebbe called it the Cheta Eagle.
We have no ages in the Mishnah.
The Rebbe had very funny puns, just like last week. The Rebbe said Echta ve'oshu. The Rebbe said we'll go to the Catskills. Echta ve'oshu. When I'll come back to the city, I'll be b'tznius. Echta ve'oshu. So the Rebbe had a Cheta Eagle. That this is a Cheta Eagle, that the Rebbe bothered him, that this is, there's some funny thing, there's like I'm looking this morning, even a fancy, it's a beautiful set of Chumashim called Rashi Kipshuta, it's very, very nice. But when they bring Rashi says Befedish, the Lashon Rashi is so clear that it was Balachsen. Rashi says Balachsen. So they bring, but some Mefarshim say he says Balachsim, but he says Nimshachim V'oilim, and Nimshachim means round. Moshe Kapoya, why would you say Apshat? Rashi says, the Torah says V'yerev, it was evening. No, maybe we'll say evening means day. Oyer means Laila. Laila means, Yoim means, Samim Oyer L'choshech, L'choshech L'oyer. Why would you say such a Pshat in Rashi? Seems like, because the Rebbe came out with this campaign, it bothered the Rebbe that we're copying Shar Titus. This is Shar is there to denigrate the Jews. So the Rebbe we should go back to what Rashi and the Rambam are telling us. There's a few shittas that say differently, but they didn't know what the Rambam really held. So
there's no ages in the Mishnah what the menorah looked like. We had Tanoim who saw the Beis Mikdash.
Okay.
There were coins from the Chashmonaim. Now the Chashmonaim, they were both kings, heads of state, who minted coins. These coins were not just amateur subject from the government, and besides being heads of state and the government, there were also Kohanim who were in the Beit HaMikdash and saw it. And on these coins, they had a symbol of Hamashik Yudah, the menorah, and the menorah has round konim. So that's a Bidiyah.
I hear.
I mean, all the proof from the Rambam and from the better Rambam and those other people. This doesn't mean anything.
But the Gemara says that they couldn't afford to make they had a menorah that was made temporary until they can afford to make a real menorah.
You're talking about these people who's able to in the straight.
No, I'm saying you're saying about the Chashmonaim, but the Gemara says the Chashmonaim didn't have a real menorah
at the very beginning. Later on, they were able to afford it.
Okay, so when later? And when later, but the Gemara for sure says the Chashmonaim had a menorah that was not the regular menorah. It was missing the Gviyim and the Konim and the Kaftoidim.
At the point when they were finally able to afford it and print and mint coins, they minted coins with the national symbol of Mamleket Yehuda, of the menorah. Like you see here that the national symbol, they chose something from the Torah, from Judaism. They didn't choose just some HD logo or something like that. They chose the menorah. They were from Jews.
I hear your question.
Like just today, the national symbol of the United States is this eagle with the arrows and the olives in its claws. So it's the same thing, but the symbol of Mamleket Yehuda was a menorah. And they saw it. They were young.
Like I said, the Gemara says that their menorah was missing the Gviyim, the Kaftoidim, the Konim was made out of.
Okay, that's at the very beginning.
They needed at the very beginning. Did they barter things? Did they change milk for orange juice, or did they have coins?
I don't know. But
they used coins.
I'm talking about when they were strong and when they were able to mint coins. That indicates that they had a strong government. If they minted coins.
I don't know. I think you could mint coins before you can afford to make a fancy menorah.
And not only that, but there are many graves in which they discovered where they had pictures of the menorah, And almost around. That's
a separate. I hear that's a separate item. Okay. So this brings us into our second discussion. The second discussion is, could you make a picture of the menorah that will be exactly like the menorah in the Beis HaMikdash? Or if you carve out something on the wall, or you carve out, or you make a picture, does it have to be a drop distorted, or could it be exactly like the menorah in the Beis HaMikdash? So let's read the Rambam. The Rambam writes, "Also l'odem she'asa bayis tavne seichel asada tavne sulam chotza keneged azora shulchan betzuras shulchan menorah betzuras menorah." Avaloisuhu menorah shechamisha konim, or shmoina konim, or menorah she'ena shel matechas, avapi she'yesh lo shiva konim. So the Rambam says you're not allowed to make. It's a whole discussion if it's a deraisa that you're not allowed to make anything from the Beis HaMikdash a replica of it if it's an exact replica. Menorah. He says, menorah she'ena shel mateches. You're allowed to make. Why? Because the menorah in the Beis HaMikdash have to be mateches. Kosav Mari ben Zimra. The time of Shemay Mikdash menorah el shel mateches. The Tanya liyatz adam bayis tavnis heichel. Aloisu shechamisha shisha v'shashmoyin aval sheshiva liyatz. V'afilu mishal min mateches. Ribri yomer. Av shalaitz liyatz. K'derech also beis kash menoi. Amar loim misham raya. Shvudim sherbal zal hoyu. That Chashmonoim made it from Barzel. When they got more, when they were able to afford, they made it kesef, and eventually they made it to Zov. Kedisa v'perek hakaymet. The Cholzeh, he says, "Michal moira mikdash lishtamit b'sharvita shel melech v'zeh tam b'ktoyre shaloi b'matkunosei." The Shulchan Paskins lo yasa bayis tavnes heichel k'shir gove beorke berachbei sadre tavnes ulam chotze tavnes azora shulchan tavnes shulchan menorah tavnes menorah v'loisa shel Tamisha konim shel shisha ishmoina aval shel shiva lo yasa afilu b'shar min matoches afilu b'lot gvinim v'kaftoirim u'prochim afilu ena gavoya yutches tfochim. You're not allowed to make a menorah even if it's other matoches, and even if you're not going to have the gvim kaftoirim u'prochim. 1 second, why? The Shach says af b'shena shel zov sheda b'mikdash. Even if it wasn't zov, it would be kosher in the Beis HaMikdash. Avalena shel matoches kegon shel eitz k'agavne. Shori, the psula b'mikdash. If you're going to build a menorah exact replica, but it'll be from wood, it's mutter, because that would be possible in the Beis HaMikdash. Shas Rambam per example hilchos Beis HaPchida. The kolchken shel chedes the shori. If you want to make a chedes for sure, it's mutter. Kedisa berashi sham. I know the kosa vatura machaber matechas davke. Any matechas is also gold, silver, any type of matechas is also to make a replica. But if you're going to make it from wood, or if you want to make it from chedes, it's mutter. Vafilo b'logvuim. And the called zayin ma'akev the b'diavad the menorah kshedet b'logvuim v'kaftoidim v'cheinim ena gavoya chayt v'ochem. Because it's b'diavad the menorah is kosher without gvim of kaftoidim. So if you're going to make an exact replica, even if it's going to missing gvim kaftoidim, it's also. And there's a beautiful line of tshuva in the Cham Tzvi talks about a person that made an exact replica of the menorah, but on the top, instead of having 7 candles, he put 8, and he said it's mutter. A whole discussion. Some bring from the Marik that says if you build a house like the Heichel, even if it's not exact, it's still also. And he says no, it has to be exact. If it's off by a drop, then it's mutter. What does it negate to our discussion? But what does it come down to? If you're allowed to make a replica of a menorah, if that menorah could be used in the Beis HaMikdash, it would be also to make a replica. If that menorah you could use in the Beis HaMikdash, then you're being mishtamet b'shar v'tamelech. If that would be not kosher in the Beis HaMikdash, like the story of the Cham Tzvi, he made exact replica, but he added, instead of 7 candles, 8 candles. Then it's mutter to do. So let me ask you a question. Could they use in the Beis HaMikdash? Is this menorah kosher, this piece of paper? If you could stick a few candles on it, a little, versteht sich, it's not, it's a joke. To say that there's no isur to make, if you want to scratch into rock, if you want to scratch into rock, a tziyur of the menorah, bidiyuk the way it was the Beis HaMikdash. That's what I'm saying. So you're allowed to do it. It's also to do a menorah. What's clear from the poskim, it's also to make a menorah. If this is the type of menorah that you're allowed to lose in the Beis Hamikdash, even if it's not the lechatchila, you didn't make it out of gold, and you didn't make it chai tfochim, and you didn't make it with gevim prochim, the way the Torah tells us, because these things are not ma'akev, like we see the story of the Chashmonaim, that they made a very simple menorah, and it was missing all the bells and whistles. It was not made out of gold; it was made out of regular metal. And the Memela, they made it very simple, and still it was kosher. So you're not allowed to make such a replica. But this, what do you mean? This can't be used as a menorah in the Beis Hamikdash. If you're going to take this slab of rock and bring it into the Heichel, and you're going to put oil on it, is that going to be a kosher menorah? That's a joke. That's not a kosher menorah. So the truth is, the Jews that lived 220 years after the Churban Beis Hamikdash, or 300 years after the Churban Beis Hamikdash, or 500 years after the Churban Beis Hamikdash, know maybe the same as me and you. There's no pictures. So if you're talking 500 years after the Churban, or 2,000 years after the Churban, it's almost the same thing. Lagabi knowing how the Benoit in the Beis Hamikdash is. So the fact that they drew it around is zero daya. This is zero daya. The fact that they made 5 branches and not 7 is, I don't know. Maybe that they were Lubavitch Sidim, and they hold that when they daven, you have to have 5 candles for nefesh, ruach, neshama, chai, yechida, and therefore this was not symbolizing the menorah in the Beis Hamikdash. This was just symbolizing, if it's true that it was a shul, and if it's true that it was Jews, and if it was symbolizing that this is a mokem mikdash miyat, and we daven, and the place where we daven, we light 5 candles, keneged nefesh, ruach, neshama, chai, yechida.
Rabbi, my question is, nobody knows exactly how's the menorah. There's no picture, there's no camera. However the Torah described, this is how we know. So nobody can make the same menorah ever.
But doesn't matter what everyone thinks, what the biggest archaeologist thinks. The Rambam and Rashi knew the Torah well. And if they say that it was Nimshich Balachsen, and the Meforshim, we have a klal, that the commentaries in the Rambam, if they disagree, that means they disagree. But if they don't disagree, that means they agree. Anytime that Iva doesn't disagree, it means he agreed. So the commentaries in the Rambam who did not disagree, so we have the Rambam and Rashi. So all the questions that could be is nothing compared to what the Rambam and Rashi say befeidish. So therefore, I'm sorry for all the for the deep divrei Torah about the 30 menorahs in the Diocletian Palace. I'm sorry. First of all, 2 things. Number one, you're allowed to make a picture in stone, exact replica of the menorah in the Beis Hamikdash. The fact that they made it 5 and not 7 had nothing to do with the Beis Hamikdash. And what's the tziyur of the konim? So the Rebbe holds that there's no question that the Rambam knew all these cheshbonos that me and you might know, and Rashi knew all these cheshbonos, and still they held that it was done by Lachsen. So therefore, when you draw, when you're trying to draw something in honor of the Beis Hamikdash, it should be made by Lachsen. You know, all the Chabad shuls that are very, very, very particular about it, and all Chabad houses, and something just to hold the enofak mepuma that kahana, like the Gemara says. So every Chabad house and every Chabad shul where they make a picture of the menorah, they make a dafka balachs.
Rabbi, I assume you've passed the replica of the menorah in the Rova in the public sphere.
Yeah, sure.
Have you ever, with these photos, looked at that replica? If it's when I've noticed it, I never looked at it. Is it straight? Is it circular?
It looks pretty good.
Have you examined if that menorah fits in with these photos?
No.
I know about that, and I know the people who made it. So
Looks good.
there were a few things to remember. First of all, when they made it specifically with the kavanah that it's for the Beit HaMikdash.
It's gold?
Yeah, it's gold.
Yeah.
So how could they do that if we said that it's an issur to make something that could be used in the Beit HaMikdash?
If you're going to, you can't make it for yourself, but if you make it for the Beit HaMikdash, that's not for an issur. They made it
for the Beis Hamikdash.
Specifically that it should be used.
That must be a very expensive piece. So it must be a very expensive piece.
Yeah,
They have a lot of stuff they make for the Beis Hamikdash.
I don't know where we got the money from, but it's like the cost millions we assume.
No, the gold was cheaper that time.
How cheap? Huh? That's
Gold was cheaper.
expensive. Wow. Okay.
Up to that.
According to Lubavitch Rebbe, they're going to have to melt it and they're going to have to straighten out those konim.
Okay, that's the point of it.
So we'll get it this week.
This
week we'll deal with the ones about
you never heard of him.
Uh,
He was the head of the
yeah.
he wrote a 400-page paper about it.
Okay. Quickly, let me do the two shilas, the other two shilas for today. Huh?
I'm going to answer the question. How do you answer
About what?
like how do these look late?
Because they thought that they didn't see the Rambam. That's what they oh, they didn't. No, they didn't see the Eidos of Rabbi Avram ben Rambam that said. No, Rashi's Rashi. So they thought there's maybe Machlokas Rambam and Rashi. Okay, quickly. Someone asked me. He went with his wife to Israel. They came back. The shaila is: does a woman make the Birchas HaGomel? So Demis is, I just take 2 minutes now. Mitzvah Shem, some other time we'll talk about it more about Ichus. You can read inside the Mishnah Berurah Paskins, Gam Anoshim, Minhag Olam, Shem Mevorchim Bracha Zu, because Lacharen Matam, Mishum the Seder Bracha Zu, Bnei Asora, Kedel Kamei, V'lav Oirach Ara Lisha. The din is in the Gemara in the last Pedic Masechet Brachas that you have to say it. You have to stand in front of a minyan and Shnaim Hem Tamid Chachamim. So it's not kovedik for a woman. It's not sneeze that she should stand in front of 10 men to make the bracha.
The husband can do it for the wife.
1 second. That she should find 9 women plus her husband, and it'll be a minyan. Most later poskim after said don't like this Mishnah Berurah, and they say, listen, if the din is that you need a minyan, unless you go to conservative Reform temple. A minyan is 10 men. You can't have a minyan with women. So okay. Anyway, that's your shit.
I've seen a woman.
Okay.
I've seen a woman make the HaGomel. I've seen a woman make the HaGomel from the Israel.
Oh, so really, you can make it from the Ezes Noshim, and that's fine. Now, Lepoil,
When the Sefer Torah.
the bottom line is, most Fardim today, that's what they do. The women make it from the Ezes Noshim. Ashkenazim is Azoy. There are Ashkenazim that have the minhag that if the woman has a baby, dafka for them, they make a minyan from Eidiv, and 10 men come to the house, and then the woman makes a goimel. That's some Ashkenazim have that minyan. Other Ashkenazim have the minhag that women don't say it b'chlal, even after they have a birth of a baby. Elamai, they go to a shul the first time they go to the house to hear Baruch Hu Kodesh Kedusha, and that's good enough. However, there's a simple eitzah that the Aruch HaShulchan gives. Aruch HaShulchan says, Poshet, at such a straightforward Poshta eitzah, he says that she could hear the bracha from someone else's chayv to bracha and have a mind to be yoitza. The frat over here, that the husband and wife are equally chayv in the bracha v'agoymel, so she could come to shul with him. He can make the bracha v'agoymel for extra protection. If mitzvah srichas, any srichas can have it, whatever. He has a mind that she is yoitza. She also has a mind that she wants to be yoitza, and for extra, she can even say amen. So she's yoitza with his bracha. So there's that eitzah from the Aruch HaShulchan.
You could ask any male in the shul to
Yeah,
say
sure.
it
Yeah,
doesn't have
yeah,
to be
yeah.
her husband.
No, the thing is like this. Anyone could say the bracha of someone else if he's truly thrilled for the other person. But how do you know if you're truly thrilled or not? I live thrilled or not.
A good friend.
If the friend is also chayiv, anyway, so then why not be yoitza with him? And that's a simple
But he
eitzah.
make the same bracha. Shegamalani tov or shegamala shtito.
No, he's saying for himself. He's saying for himself. And she is Shemea Ka'oina. So she hasn't. So it's as if she said Shemea Ka'oina. It's as if she said the same bracha.
So it's the same.
No, without the shekek. My nafkamina was what to do. So I told him, come to shul with your wife, and she'll be from the Ezes Noshim. No, she's mechuyev to the simple din is that Noshim are mechuyev, and she wants to do the right thing. One more question. Someone asked this week that his wife is pregnant, and they want to go. She wants to go. Her father never passed away a couple of years ago, and she wants to go to the cemetery. So the Maimer, the Welt sagt that it's also for a pregnant woman to go to cemetery when she's pregnant. I think I once discussed it. There's nowhere found in Shulchan Aruch a befedish thing or in Poiskim a befedish that it's also for a woman that is pregnant to go. However, there is a beautiful minchas Yitzchok, which I think B'shaita, when this shaila came up, I brought this minchas Yitzchok. He found a makar nifla for this minik. He said that, and it's to do with the 3 weeks. So it's a gacha protis. He says that Meseches Pora and Peir Gimel, it says there was Chatzeres B'Yushalayim B'nui Sagabiselo Metachteim Cholul and Mevim Noshim Uboris V'Yoldus U'Megadlasham B'neim. Why? Because these children were used in order to make the Pora Aduma, because they wanted that that one that's Matar, they made a special mile in Pora Aduma, that the one that's Matar, the Kohen, for Pora Aduma should never have been Talmid themselves. So the women have the babies in these special chatzeres, and then the babies go on to a big fat cow with the losses until they come down to the shiluach, which was a chazaka that it's taller because no one was ever buried there, and then they go on the matar, the kohen that's side of his apora. So maybe the minute when we're in Golas and we're anticipating every minute Mashiach Tzidkenu is going to come, so every Jewish mother that's pregnant is hoping that her son is going to be Matar, the Kohen, that's going to make the 10th Para Aduma. It says, the Rambam says, Asiris, that the Para Asiris, Yasa Melech Mashiach, Mamheri Yegol Omen Kei Yeratzen. So every Jewish mother is hoping her son. So therefore, they were nizar not I say, we're going to go to Yerushalayim, to those special chatzeres, they're not around anymore, but at least not to go into Behed Yita Beis HaKvoros. But okay, listen. The din is that the Rashba says that you shouldn't be mezalzel minig, even minig noshim, because Ataka I found now in from Rav Bransdorf and Hechleiro that he found that there's a Shevet Musa Perik Chavdala that writes that a woman should be careful. Shaloi de konis b'mekayim shaltuma b'mekayim sheyesh abrei achra lefisha vlad noitza kefi roisei now. So there is really room for the minig. So, but the shaila is how strict was the minig to begin with? If the minig was taka to be tohar, so the one caveat: if the family were koyanim, there's another discussion, because then there's a whole shaila about a woman who's pregnant and her husband's a koyan. Then there could be a shaila. If the baby is considered balua, you're being matama the baby, you're not being matama the baby. If there's a rekeach that says there's a svek maybe it's a zachem in a cave, maybe he's going to be born, and maybe it's going to be a nefil. Now there's a shaila of manazef. He did an ultrasound, and the baby's a zachem for sure. So there's no svek. So it's a problem. So if a kohen knows that the baby is a male, she'll have to go to a hospital where there's tum in the hospital. But the person that asked me is not a kohen, so there's a different discussion. It's only shailas because that's the minig. The shaila is what's the nakuda of the minig. If the nakuda of the minig is that every woman trying that her baby should be toher, so that then it's absolute.
Is it different for pregnant women to go to no help?
Again, that would be what's the reason of the minig. But if the reason is the minig is not to go to a place which has a ruach ra or ruach tuma. So first of all, we're going to Kevat Tzadik. There's no ruach tuma at Kevat Tzadik. And if you're going, if a woman wants to go to her father, it's maybe that wasn't a chelik for the original minig. So a woman wants to daven by her father's kever in order to be zoichet, to have a child, to be a Talmid Chochem, everything should be good. It's lav dafka, that was a chelik of the original minig. Chas v'shalom to be mezalzel in the minig, but lav dafka, this was a chelik of the minig. David shall hoffen that all the Jewish women that need to have children, they should have children. So ze gesunte Kinder, should be megadol them. The Torah the chuppah ma'asem tovim. Today's shir was Leil Nishma Shlomo David Tevel ben Moshe. So I licht to Gan Eden.
My wife was pregnant. She didn't go to her grandmother's fire.
I heard the minig.
How many wash? We have 10.
You have 10?
Mm.
Sure.
I was surprised.
Yeah.
I'm surprised it was like
I can't get my camera to work. However,
I didn't
one day I was sitting
then I was going out,
eating
and
a
I saw that
Suda,
he
Shabbos
tested.
Suda,
Was that
by my
unexpected?
Mechutin in
Yeah, it seemed to be
Yerushalayim.
totally unexpected. I mean,
And sitting,
we had him here for breaking in the beginning of the year. He was-
I left there for 5 minutes because it was the same thing as he had done at Kollel, you know.
Oh,
Shabbos.
I enjoyed it. I didn't know that he already gave that.
I had already heard it.
Oh, you heard it already.
So,
I
it
enjoyed
was
it. very-
crowded. It was crowded.
Yeah.
You know, it was overcrowded. So, but I mean, it was going to be overcrowded, and I knew everything he was going to say. You know?
Oh, okay, right. It was sudden. It seemed to have been very sudden. I mean, I guess,
Young, 81 is
yeah,
young.
yeah, and he
I
was
mean, he
very,
seemed very vital.
very. What? Today's the last day of the sitting shiva.
Very affectionate for family, though.
Oh, let me the beweisen.
I need that.
Here, the Bisro, come with me.